Hi, everybody. It's TalkRx Tuesday with Dr. Neha, and I have an amazing guest with us here today. Her name's Lori, and hi, Lori. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Good to
Yeah.
see
Are you ready for the Ask Dr. Neha?
you. Yes, I
All
think so.
right.
Yes.
So let's tell me what's on your mind.
Um, recently, my husband and I have filed for divorce, and it's been
Hmm.
coming for a while. Um, and I have found that one-on-one
Mhm.
telling people that has been not simple, but has been manageable by me. And because most of my friends experience the sadness, what is more difficult, I'm finding, because it's new territory after being together for 18 years, is how to set expectations that our normal sense of social behaviors will be changing, obviously, and it may or may not meet the expectations of our family and friends
Yep.
at wherever they are in processing this change in our relationship.
Wow.
And I have already experienced some disappointment by people that we are very close to, and I'm not angry by that. I'm a little bothered by that. Um, but I need to figure out how to communicate effectively where I'm at, what boundaries fit for me and my family.
Yep.
That would be my daughter now, which is
Yep.
also new, and maintain relationships and friendships that have been in my life for 25 years.
Okay. So first of all, I'm sorry about that. It sounds like you guys are going through a pretty big life transition, and you've been together for nearly 20 years, and now it's one on one. You're it's not easy, but you're able to do it, and now it's more about the global facing society and your groups of friends and family, kind of as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
That's starting to bother, worry you. Yeah. So, what is it that worries you about telling people? Like, what type of an event or experience would this show up as?
I can give you a specific experience.
Sure.
But as you were saying that, I was thinking of something else too, and I think it is, and probably something other people deal with as well, as redefining yourself as
Mm-hmm.
a new person
Mm-hmm.
um, who is no longer married, and how you present that to the world. So that's a big issue. So we can start with
Yeah.
a specific circumstance.
Yep.
One of my best friends is celebrating her birthday, her
Mm-hmm.
50th birthday, in the weekend, next weekend,
Yep.
and we are invited as a couple.
Okay.
And so I called her and said, under the circumstances, I did not speak for my ex, I am not as comfortable coming as a couple because this is such a new change in our lives.
Right.
And how would you feel about me coming on my own?
Yep.
And since we were friends first, and I mean, trying
Yeah.
to be understanding. And I was kind of surprised at the response that, well, really, we've been family friends. We're godparents of each other's children. We're very, very close families. And we would hope that we could continue to experience you as a couple, and it would be our wish that the two of you could come and hopefully put that aside so that we can celebrate as families as we always have.
Wow.
Which was
Surprising. I mean,
surprising.
that's a hard one. All right.
Yes.
So there's several issues that we've brought up here, and why don't we start with this one? Because the most important thing, Lori, is that you too feel that something has changed and it's different. And the world is going to want to put the puzzle pieces back exactly the way they were.
Mm-hmm.
It's more comfortable that way, right? So, where in your body do you feel this as you're telling me? Can you feel anything moving through you?
Oh, yes, where I always feel my anxiety in my stomach.
In your stomach. And what does it feel like?
Um, Tight.
Okay. And so, what you're afraid of that I heard you say is the word disappointment. Like, what are we going to do if we disappoint others,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, the interesting thing is, the two of you are going through the greatest change. Out of everybody here, the ripple effect that's going to go to the world, which it will, when
Mm-hmm.
there's change, it affects people, is with your nuclear family,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, of course, they're going to hope that they can have both of you and everything would stay the way it was, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
True?
True.
It's different now. And so it's one thing to have a conversation with people, but the second piece is to figure out what you want,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it would be a conversation which is like, let's say it was me and you, and this was happening. I'd say, so Lori, I heard what you said and that you'd prefer that we could continue to be a couple. And someday, I hope that that's possible. Right now, that isn't going to work for us or for me. Speak for yourself. I think that's a great point that you made. And so then it's time to get clear about what will work for you. And it might seem selfish sometimes to really put the focus on the three of you, your family, immediate family. But really right now, you need to navigate that ship and do it clearly with your boundaries before you're worrying about what the rest of the world thinks.
Yes.
They're going to follow your lead.
Yes.
And if you're uncertain and still trying to make sure everybody's okay, they're going to tell you what okay looks like.
Yes, and let me ask you this, because my daughter is a teenager, and so of course she knows that I'm invited to the party. It's her godparents. And she said, well, of course you should go. And then she stopped herself and said, you know, Mommy, you should do whatever is feeling best to you. And I think the other part of all this that I worry a lot about is the example that I give my daughter.
Yeah. Can you feel that? Yeah. So just take a deep breath in. That's so important to you, right? Yeah. It's about being real. Like, how am I going to answer this in a way that teaches her to be authentic in who she is and shows up in the world saying what it is she really means?
Yes.
Right? And that's an important one. Like, I can see how important you being a role model to her is. Right? So the question is, what would self-trust and courage do now?
Well, I got divorced.
Yeah,
and
it was a big step. It was hard for you.
Yes. I think helping her learn, which I obviously didn't know as well, is how to set boundaries and to know when that it is important to make yourself first so that you can be healthy for other people. And
it seems like you grew and you changed over time somehow, and you really acknowledge that now, right? This is a big move.
Yes.
Right? I'm so proud of you. And well, before you worry about other people, just make sure, Lori, that you've taken into account what Lori wants. You listen to other people and what they value and how they want things to happen. You hope that it can be that way someday. And right now, this is what's going to work for you, right? And you let them know what this is. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing your whole heart.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So for those of you that are going through a big life transition or have experienced one, you know exactly the courage it took for Lori to express what she just did. And these types of questions, should you show up as who you really are when it might disappoint other people? That's a big one. It's very important that when you're going through a tough time or a change, that you make sure you listen to your own heart first. And the way you get the real answer of what to do next, whether it's to be a role model for your daughter or whether it's to show up in the world with others, is what would self-trust and courage do now? So you get clear first, and I promise you, your loved ones are going to want to support you once they hear where you're headed.